What's up, you guys? Today we are going to talk a little bit more about closures. I did the introduction to closures, or the closures 101, where I told you guys a little bit about the difference between silk closures and lace closures. Today we're going to talk about correcting lace closures, because lace closures oftentimes require to be doctored. So we're going to talk about correcting them when you mess up or don't get it just right when you're trying to doctor it. I showed you guys in the previous video a lace closure with knots. This is actually the closure in that video where I was holding up and showing you the knots. I bleached the knots, but I didn't use color corrector when I bleached the knots like I showed you guys in my knot bleaching video. But I want to show you what happens to the closure, which happens often. Can you see that? The knots are bleached, but what color does that look? It looks really brassy or orange here. You see how orange it is compared to my skin? Those are not over bleached knots. That is brassiness. Now, typically what you do to get rid of black brassiness is leave the bleach on longer, because that is the level that hair turns before it reaches blonde, turns orange. So you would leave the bleach on longer, but for the sake of preserving this closure or your closure, you may not want to bleach it that light where it's like blonde, because the lighter you go, the more damage the hair is going to be, hence where you get shedding or balding closures from. So I'm going to show you how to correct this and take it from brassy to just right. It's the color of your skin. Or to prepare it so that you can tint the lace. A few ways to do this. I'm going to show you different ways that it can be done. My favorite way is to use red out shampoo treatment. You can see how dark blue this is. It's a blue shampoo. It's basically shampoo with toner. But you see how dark it is? The darker your toner is, the easier it's going to take out this brassiness, because the blue neutralizes the orange. Okay? So this is my favorite. It's really hard to find because it's a professional product. I have another bottle. Show you the company name so you guys can find it. Colorful Products. That's the brand. And it's red out. Okay? Another option, a pre-made option, is Clairol Shimmer Lights shampoo. Now, I don't have the original Clairol Shimmer Lights shampoo with me, and I can use it all up, but Sally's makes a generic version, their GBP, of the Clairol Shimmer Lights shampoo, which is cheaper than the Clairol brand. This is purple. Okay? See? It's not quite as dark as the red out, but still it gets the job done. The same thing you do with the red out, you do with this. You lather your closure up, let it sit for 5-10 minutes, rinse it off, see how it looks. If it needs more, do it again. Another option, there's another shampoo that's like the red out, but it's called Gold Out. For some reason, this one's a little bit easier to find, but it's still tough to find. And this one is, it's like a gray blue color. This one's more so for getting out gold, so if it's not quite as orange, but it's still more yellow than you would like it, then you would want to use the Gold Out. I'm going to show you today how to make your own shampoo with color corrector or toner in it, just in case you can't find the other ones. I'm just going to use some regular shampoo and some Ardell Red Gold color corrector. They have this at Sally's, and they have it at most beauty supplies. So I'm just going to crack open the shampoo. You can do it with conditioner as well. I prefer to do it with shampoo because conditioner tends to have a lot of slip, which can make the knots slip. So I'm going to take the color corrector and put it in my shampoo. And I'm just going to squeeze a lot of it in there. Squeeze as much as you want, okay? And then kind of mix it up. You see it's turning colors. I'm going to add a little bit more. And so we now have purple shampoo. Another option is to use a toner, like I have some, but I don't know where it is. It's blue. It's a matrix toner, and it's like a blue cream, and you can add that to your shampoo, or you can just rub it on the closure. Now, the first thing you want to do is start off with a clean closure, okay? So freshly shampoo it, and then you want it to be wet because, of course, we're going to shampoo it. So I'm going to go ahead and wet the closure. All right. So here I have my wet closure, and we're going to concentrate specifically on the underside of the closure with this shampoo, not on the hair. All right? So I'm going to take my new purple shampoo and squeeze a dollop of it on here. And just massage it in. I'm not even really lathering it, I'm just massaging it in. And you want to let that sit for about 5 minutes. If you want to add a little more, feel free. So we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes. Now let's see what we're left with after rinsing. Still brassy, okay? So you're going to want to do it again, and as many times as is needed. I'm going to show you guys the difference between using the color corrector and using the red out. Okay? So let's apply the red out. Red out. You see how dark that is? I actually have to add water to the red out when I use it and lather it, okay? Because it's so dark. Okay, so I lather it up really good. I'm gonna let that sit for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna take a look at how the closure looks after using the red out. So I let this sit. I actually added a little bit more after I turned the camera off, because that's how I usually do. With the red out though, I just want to advise you, you have to watch it. Do not let it sit longer than it needs to, because it can overtone your lace or your knots and make them look gray. We don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off and then show you guys what it looks like. So here we are afterwards. As you can see, it's still, it probably needs one more go round with the red out, but it's not quite as orange. It's starting to look more brown. There, this closure is a little tangly. Okay. It's still a little brassy, but as you can see, it's getting there. So I say this is going to take one more lather and then it'll be perfect. Toning, getting rid of the brassiness, it's not a simple do something real quick task. Like I said, it's going to take you a few lathers to do it. You do it as many times as needed, but make sure to condition the closure and the knots after you've gotten it to the color that you want it, okay? Because as you can see, using too much shampoo, especially with sulfates, it's gonna make the hair feel really stripped and dry, and it can make it tangle. So you want to condition it with a moisturizing conditioner. While that is sitting, I'm going to go ahead and move on to correction number 2. Now, this is an example of both over bleached knots and bleached roots, okay? I'm going to show you what over bleached knots are. You see how this is white? Can you see? White. It is actually white, okay? That's an over bleached knot. That's hair that is prone to shedding. That is something that you cannot fix. You cannot fix over bleached knots. You can attempt to seal the knots with something like got-to-be glued freeze splash spray or a really super hold hairspray or spritz, but that's it. So for the sake of this video, I'm not even going to go there with you guys. I'm going to work on this part, the bleached roots, and that's when you're bleach seeps through your lace when you're bleaching your knots, and it gets on the roots of the hair. And what you often end up with, not only does it look crazy to have blonde roots and dark hair, but you also end up with what looks like an extremely wide part when it's not really the part, it's the roots. So a simple way to fix that, you start off with clean hair. Now what you can do, which I personally don't do because it's really difficult to get this stuff off, you can coat the underside of your closure with Vaseline or a really thick conditioner with silicones in it, or even spray it lightly with cooking spray. It helps protect the knots and the lace on this side so that the dye doesn't stain them again. I don't do that because I actually tried to do it on a previous tutorial where I tried to do this before, and you see how stringy this hair is? This is the closure I use, by the way. This is after me doing like 5 clarifying lathers on this, okay? So me, no. I don't normally do it, I just try to do it for the tutorial. But what you would need, this is what I do, is a mascara wand. I actually got this off of an old tube of mascara and washed it off. You don't need anything special, just old tube of mascara and a hair color. Now, I personally like to use Beijing or Beijing, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot easier to mix small amounts because it's a powder, and you can literally just drop a little bit in a bowl or a cup and add a little bit of water and mix it. Another one that I like, and it's ammonia free, another one that I like is the Revlon Color Silk, which is also ammonia free. Only thing with this one, it's a lot harder to mix small amounts, and if you're just touching up your roots, you don't want to use the whole bottle. And there are also some root touch-up kits that are out there. They come with a different kind of brush. It's a small brush, kind of like this, but it's bent. That one I don't recommend if you're not familiar with doing this, because using the brush on the roots, I'm going to show you, it's a lot harder to be precise. It's a lot easier to touch the lace while you're trying to brush because these bristles are hard. Okay, it's more so meant to use for your scalp. If you're really good at this already, or you're really good at coloring and you're really precise, then the root touch-up kit may work for you. I'm going to show you how to do it with the mascara wand, okay? And since I don't have my BG with me, I'm going to use this color slip dye. Now, I like to do this on dry hair, and I am not going to pin this on the mannequin head. I recommend you do pin it on the mannequin head, but I want you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing, so I'm not going to pin it on the mannequin head. I'm going to take my dye. I don't put it in a bowl. I'm going to just squeeze it onto the brush and just see how much I'm putting on. A very thin layer. You want a very tiny amount, okay? Because you do not want this to get on your lace. Now, I always start at the back of the closure at the bottom, okay? So if I tie it onto the mannequin head, I'm going to start at the back, not the front, because then you're going to start moving your hair forward, and that dye is going to be a lot easier to get on the lace. So I start at the back. This is the back of the closure. And you just brush. I brush it further down the hair, and then that's just to get the excess of the dye off of the brush. And then I start twirling it. Okay? Start twirling it as close to the root as close to the lace as you can without actually touching the lace. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a piece of the front, and as I go, I keep adding a little bit more dye to the brush. And once you finish all the way up in here, you get to your parting areas. You can also just touch up areas that you want to touch up. You don't have to do the whole thing. You see how I'm just dabbing the dye on, and then I start to brush it. Okay? Get as close to the lace as you can. You see I'm twirling the brush. You see? I'll do the other side so you guys can actually see the part get smaller. So add a little bit more dye. Okay. And further down, and then get closer to the root as needed. Now this process, as you can see, part is smaller now, right? And nothing on the lace or the knots. Now this takes a lot of patience and precision. If you're tired, don't do it while you're tired. If you have bad lighting, don't do it while you have bad lighting. You want to have good lighting. You want to have time. And you want to make sure you're precise. And we're going to do the hairline really quick. The hairline, you have to be very careful. Okay? Start a little bit lower than the lace. You don't want to get too close at first. And then very lightly brush down as close to the lace as you can get without actually touching it. Okay. And what I like to do is I'll hold my finger underneath it to get some tension, and I'll go from side to side. But now you can see, getting closer. That little section next to it is a section I haven't done yet. So you can see the difference. Just like you can see the difference in this part in the middle. I missed that part right here. But so I would just go over that little piece again. Now, I don't recommend holding it in your hands while you do it, okay? I'm doing this because I do this a lot and because I want you guys to be able to see clearly. If you have a styrofoam mannequin head, pin it to your mannequin head on the top or on the side. As you go, start from the bottom, pin the hair up like this, start from the bottom, and keep pulling small pieces of hair down as you go, okay? You want to go in very small sections, very small sections. If you do larger sections, you're more likely to get dye on your lace and your knots. When I say small sections, I mean you literally want to go in extremely tiny sections. As you're going back, add some dye. I'll show you as you're going back. You can add it to the top and the bottom because you want to make sure you get both sides. So you would go this way, and then you can go up as well, okay? Like that. Right, you guys, you got it? Once you have applied the dye to all of the sections that need to be touched up, let it sit based on the instructions that are on the dye that you're using. I usually let it sit for about 15 minutes. When you wash it out, you want to wash it like this. Let the water run on your closure. The water needs to run onto the lace, okay? Or onto the lace. If you run the water this way, you run the risk of staining your lace. So you want to run it this way until the water starts to run clear. Then you're going to add your shampoo. I always add my shampoo to the lace, lather it up, and then pull it down. You can do it however you want. That's just how I do it because I try to keep any dye off of the lace as much as possible. I do my final rinse the same way and then condition. That's it. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. So thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll talk to you later.